Welcome back, everybody. So it is actually a scary amount of time to our elections. Would you believe 36 days to go until you and I go to the polls to choose a political party that we would like to see ruling South Africa? On May 29th, the national and provincial elections will see record-breaking number of candidates, with 58.14% of the lists being male and 41.86% being female. Newer, smaller parties contesting the national and provincial elections for the first time are hoping to get a share of the vote from the 27.79 million registered eligible voters. But what is their role in possibly influencing the election outcomes? Well, today in studio, we have got three more parties. In fact, our final three parties that will be visiting us here in studio to talk about what it is that they are offering you as the voter. We've got Doctor Mbahare Kekana. He is the president of Forum for Service Delivery. Philani Mavundla from the Abantu Batho Congress, and Marius Fransman for People's Movement for Change. Before I go and sit down and have a conversation with them to find out what they're all about, let's get a little bit of an understanding of what their parties stand for. So here we have some of the priorities that the Abantu Batho Congress have outlined, and this is what they talk to. So they want to prioritize unemployment, combating corruption and restoring integrity, combating crime and upholding community safety, reviving the textile industry for sustainable job creation, and revitalizing the poultry industry for economic growth. So that's Abantu Batho Congress, the ABC. Let's move on to the PMC, that's the People's Movement for Change. What are they saying? This is what they're saying. Promote economic stability, address mental health issues in communities, introduce a flexible public service system, promote inclusivity and diversity, and finally access to healthcare. These are just a few of the things that they've been talking about and promoting, and we'll go into a little bit more with them. And then finally, this one is priorities for Forum for Service Delivery. Improve the education system, reform the electoral system, introduce a flexible public service system, implement a sustainable agriculture and livestock and land policy, and ensure that the matric pass rate is consistently above 50%. Okay, so there you go, just a little bit of the priorities that those parties have been speaking about. But of course, we're going to get into a little bit more with them as I introduce them to you, all seated on our set, to perhaps give you a bit more meat into if they deserve your vote or not. Gentlemen, what a pleasure. Good to have you here in the Morning Live studio.
Good day.
Thank you, and thank you so much for coming in and joining us. So let's get on with it, because I don't want to waste any time, because this interview belongs to all of you. Yes. And let me begin with you. So the president of the Abantu Batho Congress. What do you stand for? That's as simple as that. What do you stand for?
Well, ours is very straightforward. Above everything, we're standing for the independence of the Zulu nation as a standalone state out of South Africa. And the reason we're coming to this conclusion is that this euphoria of South Africa has not worked for us. That is where we are. We believe it hasn't worked for all the South Africans, but it's difficult to talk for everyone if we have not consulted. So we have consulted in KZN, we have consulted in the Free State, hence we are where we are.
Okay, so what do you envision? I mean, when you say you want a separate Zulu state, what do you envision?
Let's start by saying, in this country, we used to have a lot of parastatals. We had the Transnet, we have the trains, we have the SAA, we even had Denel that could produce fighter helicopter. I don't know when was the last time we produced one. I doubt that we still have the capabilities of producing any. If we can't even run a train, you can then imagine. We're in a country where we wake up every morning, we complain about water, we don't have water. The question is, what happened to the budget that is there that is supposed to be building dams and putting the infrastructure? We are then saying, if we are doing it on our own, we'll know what we are looking for, we'll be consulting the people as to what is the best way to go about it. That is where we are. We honestly believe that the structure that we have of this country need to be reconfigured. But above everything, we need to take the land back to the monarchies where it was belonged, because came the time when you had the Codesas, the monarchies were left out of it. Quite frankly, only one that was lucky enough, simply because of the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who made sure that the king of the Zulus was taken care into the discussion. Hence, we even had a little bit what is called Ingonyama Trustland.
Okay. I'm going to quiz you more on what this all looks like and how it's going to work and where this Zulu state will exist. Is it KwaZulu-Natal? Is that what you're talking about? Would you like it to be there?
The current borders of what is called KwaZulu-Natal, that is what we are looking at. We don't want to look beyond that at the moment. That is what we are looking at. And it's a state that has everything. It's got 2 harbors. I'm sure you are aware of that. It's got 2 pipelines that feed Gauteng. If those 2 fuel pipelines don't run for 3 days, Gauteng will have absolutely nothing. It's got water that comes out of Tugela River that is pumped through the water scheme that is there into the Sterkspruit Dam, which is the 3rd largest dam in South Africa. Without it, here in Gauteng, you guys will have much, much less water. But anyway, we'll sell it to you, just as you are buying it from Lesotho.
Okay, all right, ABC, we'll come back to you. We'll talk more about that. So, yeah, a separate Zulu state, what do you think of that? Would you like that? Okay, let's get to you now. Marius Fransman, a very familiar face and somebody that we've seen doing his work and time with the Democratic Alliance, breaking away, forming your own political party now, the People's Movement for Change. A lot of DA members also coming and joining you in this party. What do you stand for? What is PMC all about?
I think just a correction, Leanne, I come from the African National Congress.
Oh, I beg. How did I say the DA? you gotta forgive me on that one. That was a bad mistake.
It's fine.
I saw you going a bit red there. It's like, no, not me. Marius, forgive me.
Not.
From the ANC moving to your own party, the PMC.
But we have brought over Dan Plato, which was the former mayor of Cape Town, and the MEC in the Western Cape government. So he came to PMC, and last week we brought at least 150 activists of the DA in Cape Town over. I think the issue for the PMC is it's about the future, it's not about the past. I think we recognize the fact that we came 94, we had our liberation, and we appreciate the fact that we were all part of that process. But I think the issue now is a stubbornness of 60% unemployment amongst young people, a reality of dropout rates of at least every 700 children that goes into the school, out of the 1,000, that 700 drop out. Only 300 goes to matric. Those are our hard issues. The issue related to the Khoi, the San, which is essentially the Bushman, the pre-1913 reopening of the land issue for the Khoi and the San, informal settlement, crime and corruption, those are the real issues. But most importantly, if we look at all of this, we're saying family, community and opportunity. Those are our themes to try and address real contradictory issues in our society.
Yeah, and I mean, this you do also speak a lot to what you say, the ignored coloured community and taking their interests at heart. Is this another key to your election campaign?
Yes, I think it's not exclusively for the coloured community. Okay. We are inclusive movement, and we're basically saying is let's put those that were pushed aside, which is the coloured community being alienated, marginalized, poor black African community, and very poor white community. So we are saying, let's bring the Ansanas and the Gogos of society, let's bring them into the center of the body politic of our society. So those are the issues that we will be addressing. But in the center, especially Western Cape and the Northern Cape, we're speaking about the Kairos moment. That means those the descendants of the Khoi, which is essentially the coloured community, that they must get into the centre of the body politic, back into our society. All
right, then let's move on to the next party and the final one that we've got in this panel. Dr. Mbahare Kekana, he's the president of Forum for Service Delivery.
Yes.
What do you promise? What do you stand for?
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you to my fellow panelists. Our name is very clear. We are for service delivery. Our model, it's 80% service delivery and 20% politics. People are tired of politics. For 30 years, people were fed lies, people were fed empty promises. So we are coming in not only as politicians, but as graduates, as academics, as professionals, so that we can transform and restructure the public service system. We are coming in because we want to make change. We are coming in because of the education system has collapsed. We are coming in because of people at villages, they're not getting water. There's housing backlogs. There is issue of ECDs are not funded. The issue of 18 to 35 years in terms of employment, it's rife. We are coming in because of the issue of load shedding, which has been self-made. We want to bring solutions. We want to make sure that ESCOM is fixed. We are coming in because of the army of young people. It's not skilled. We want to see them reskilled. We are coming in because of high level of unemployment, which we have a plan as Forum for Service Delivery. So we want to, where we are governing, because we've got a track record. I can tell you now, we are governing the Tsobotla municipality, which is the most troublesome municipality. And as we speak, we are stabilizing it. We are making sure that the services are given to people. We are making sure the employees in that municipality are getting salaries. So we want to then broaden our government because of we have showcased how it's Forum for Civil government, and that's why we are running for provincial and national elections.
Okay, provincial, national. That's an important question as we go to a break. Marius, you're going for which?
Western Cape, Northern Cape, and national.
And national.
We are going KwaZulu, Free State, and national.
Okay, so that's good. So that's important for viewers to know exactly where you will see these parties on the ballot paper. Continue to listen. That's just a brief overview of what they stand for. We'll delve a little bit deeper. Also take your questions after the break. Do stay tuned.
Njengamanje lapha the way ngibona ngakhona la esibhedlela because babanika ne-accommodation bayakwazi ukuthi abantwana nabo bagula babeduze nabo.
When hands come together, more care is given. Together, Mzansi, there is no us without you.
Right, back into the segment where you get to know some of the parties that are going to be represented on the ballot paper, especially in some of your provinces. But the three parties we have here will also be contesting in the national elections. So they're going for a seat in that National Assembly. Doctor Mbahare Kekana, the president of Forum for Service Delivery, Philani Mavundla from the Abantu Batho Congress, and Marius Fransman for People's Movement for Change. Those are the leaders we have in studio with us. Straight into viewers' questions, because this is for you. This first one is coming in from Nkosikona Matera saying, People's Movement for Change. This is for you. The issue of the high rate of crime and corruption in South Africa, as well as illegal mining and immigrants in South Africa. Your stance on them, how you're going to deal with those issues?
Well, in as far as the people who are in this country illegally, regardless of their race, we are saying they need to go back to their countries, they need to be deported. We are faced with a situation. I'm a mayor of Mvoti municipality. When we do the raids on businesses, we find people who have the municipality permit to run the business, but when you look at their papers to be in the country, it doesn't exist. That is a situation that we are faced with.
So a hard stance on this. People must go back if they're illegal. Our
manifesto is there. There need to be an inspectorate that deals with it, because these whole things start from our porous borders, that you enter South Africa, nobody knows where you've gone to. Go to China and see if that will happen. But here, anyone comes in and nobody knows where you are. It ends there. We need to deal with this. Otherwise, we'll end up with a country that is full of illegal immigrants, and the South African will have nowhere to go. As it stands right now, they are running the business in the township. They are running all the small businesses that should be run by the smaller businesses that are South Africans.
All right, crime. What are we going to do about the high crime rate and, most importantly, corruption?
Well, the issue of the crime, you'll see, Leanne, that in a number of cases you'll find that the police themselves are involved. The whole police need to be overhauled, the entire of it, so that we can have people who are there because they are there to perform their duties. Then need to be dealt with. Okay. The issue of the corruption is something that we've lived very long with in this country. Some people are charged for it. Some, it's known what has happened. Nothing happened. If I were to ask a question that what happened to most of the people who were part of the fraudulent activities that happened during COVID. Nothing has come out of it. Nothing, absolutely nothing, unless it's happening behind the scene. But as far as we are aware, nothing has happened. There's on the commission. Whom do we know that has been there to face the music? Nothing is happening. So basically we are saying that need to be dealt with so it doesn't happen again.
All right, Marius, very much so the same similar issues being addressed to you. The issue of high crime rate, corruption, illegal mining and immigrants in South Africa. That question is for you.
Leanne, I think what we are sitting with is a bigger issue. And what that is essentially the causes of a situation where we are starting to experience a failed state. And 30 years into our democracy, what the PMC is saying is let's reflect on the future over the next 20 years about South Africa. Let's understand that these are hard realities, and therefore we're pushing for economic codessa. So we're calling on all political parties, all civil society organizations to have a discussion about these issues in the context of the inequality gaps in our society. So that's a very important issue for us. On the question about illegal immigrants, there is laws. That needs to be dealt with, but the PMC is not xenophobic. So too quickly, we're experiencing a situation that political parties at large, especially the ruling party, the opposition party, are arguing that there's just a lash out at all foreign nationals. And we're saying that it is important to understand that illegal immigrants, there's a law, there's regulations, and people must be deported. But we must not have a situation that we juxtapose it, that we see political parties starting to go into shops of community or, of foreign nationals. And they ransack that shops as if those are illegal foreigners. And I think the PMC has a different perspective on that. And we're saying let's make sure that we build cohesion among South Africans and non-South Africans. And not only the version of black foreign nationals is the problem. Then the issue around illegal mining. And I want to come to Northern Cape. The Northern Cape's got mines. If you look at the Richterveld, if you look at the Namaqualand region, if you look at Concordia and other places in the West Coast as well, there's mines. And the problem that we're currently dealing with, it is big mega mines coming from afar. The people that owns that land, we call it the Act 9 of 87. It is the old, what they call the colored reserve areas. There's 24 in the country, 12 in the Western Cape and majority in the Northern Cape. People actually they were pushed out of the land, and the mining companies are coming with big security firms to essentially take over that land where there's big deposits. And we are saying, as the PMC, that must stop, and the Northern Cape government is a culprit in that process. And the PMC is therefore arguing that give our land and the resources back to our people so that people do not have to be illegal miners, that there must be legal miners, and therefore the licensing process needs to be corrected. The final point around corruption, the final point around crime in particular for us is a problem, and we link that back to the socio-economic reality of a society. And therefore, when the PMC gets into government, what we are asking for is a reallocation and a reconfiguration of the current state of the budget so that we essentially create more opportunities to the less advantaged people, also to create a mega infrastructure program, a construction site. Over the next 10 years, if there is one thing that we must get right, is to ensure that people do not get this 3 months work opportunities. Let's reopen trade centers. The idea about what we can call hustlepreneurs, people that's on the ground, informal traders, how do the government support informal traders in the township economy and not essentially allow them, for example, to be paying a lot of stuff for the trade that they are dealing with? And I think those are, and that's why we're looking at the reallocation of the economic department's budget in this case.
Okay, all right, good, concise plans you've got going there. All right, let's do the same for you, Dr. Kekana, because this is a question that comes up all the time, and these issues are top of mind. So it's crime, corruption, immigrants, illegal immigrants, and mining. What do you think? What are your views?
Thank you very much. Let me start with the issue of crime. I mean, yesterday we've learned that one of the comedians, DJ, was shot. And not only him, a lot of celebrities and some also normal citizens on the ground. They've been killed simply because of there's no consequences, there's no actions. So we are calling for criminalization of those people who are killing others. We are calling for an overhaul on police system. We are sitting with a high level of dropouts. We are sitting with unemployment youth, which they can be reskilled to be police officers, which they can be given skills to patrol our areas and all that. So we have normalized crime in this country. We have normalized corruption in this country. So we need action. People must get arrested. We need harsher sentences for those those culprits who committed those kind of painful acts. And in terms of illegal immigrants, we are very clear as Forum for Service Delivery that immediately after 1994, we were not given a chance as a country. We were not given a chance as a country to sort ourselves out. So we have called all illegal foreigners so that they can at least give us 10 years to leave the country and give us 10 years so that we can sort out our country. Because we can tell you now, it's a fact. Illegal migrants, they've overburdened our health system. They've overburdened almost the job market. And we are also calling for those restaurant owners and some farm owners who are actually hiring illegal immigrants. We need to take actions around them because they are actually the ones promoting cheap labor market and start lining our own people. So we are saying any restaurant which hires strictly 100 foreigners, the owner must be arrested. Any farm owner hiring 100% foreigners, actions must be taken. So as a country, we have now known as a lawlessness country. As compared to 1994, we were a country with hope. We were a country with this vision and dream. But as Forum for Service Delivery, we want to restore that. We want to restore the democracy and the freedom.
All right, so that's a big one, is that put South Africans first, hire South Africans, and illegal immigrants need to go, and give us time to sort ourselves out. I want to stay with you because I know just another question that's come in. And again, gentlemen, I'll ask the same to all of you. This is a big one. Your stance on education.
Yes.
And I know you have a very big stance on this, the Forum for Service Delivery, education in universities. I think you touched on the unemployment rate, which would be the poverty question as well. So, education.
Education, we are very clear. We need to up our percent. Passing mark to 50%. We need to introduce...
anything below 50, you say, is not good enough?
No. Okay. We want strictly 50%. I can tell you, Leanne, even during Abantu education, during apartheid, pass mark was 50%. While now in democracy, pass mark it went down to 30%. We want to see colleges of nursing, colleges of agriculture, colleges of teaching, which has been closed. During apartheid or during Bantustan, like for example in the Northwest, under Bupitazwana, we had 30 teachers' colleges. We had more than 40 nursing colleges, and they've been shut down. They are now white elephants. We want to see them to get reopened. We are calling for one university per region because of most of the people coming from Limpopo, Free State and all that. They're just allocated to one university. That's why young people are leaving the province to go and seek for a better education. So we want to see our young people getting education where they are staying, accessing any type of education where they are staying.
And pumping it back into the areas and the province that they're staying, if they get those skills.
Correct. The issue of TVET colleges is not working as. During apartheid, we had what you call technical colleges, which were strictly on skills. We want to bring them back. Technical skills.
Good.
We want to ensure that myself as a leader, I believe a lot on education. That's why during our leadership, we have studied so that we can show people that education is very important.
All right, important, education. Your issue there, Marius, on that?
I think I've earlier mentioned that we must align it with the trade and with skills. So what are we dealing with currently? We're dealing with the education system that's abstract and away from the practical realities of the country. So the PMC is arguing that look at the whole country, look at where the infrastructure, the sectoral, for example, mining industry, the agricultural industry, whatever it is, and align that with clear programs on schools. So we're not saying that for the sake of education, just have education. Because what we are seeing now, we're seeing unemployed graduates. We're seeing unemployed matriculants. And therefore, what is required is a type of trade center, trade skills, community colleges, university colleges, and these other places in the world that has done that. So, for example, if you go back in time, in the 40s and the 50s in this country, you had the University of Stellenbosch that were engineered. Then you had agricultural areas, you had agri-co-ops, and then you had the Volkskas Bank supported, for example, a small group of people, but it was trying to generate the agricultural industry. So what we are saying is align the education portfolio with the opportunities in regions of South Africa, and making sure that we link that with economic opportunities. One issue that I think is in our face is the fourth industrial revolution, is 5G and SG. Isn't it better for the children in the poorer communities to get now computers, to make sure that there's robotics training at that schools, make sure that, for example, that they understand the ICT world from a very young age? Because the difference is, if you take a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old child, that child, and you put electronics behind that child in a practical way, that child is going to be having a practical skill to earn a living into the future. So we are believing we must look at more that process than the old style education.
Great. So advance education, give it a more technological edge, but not only in urban areas, take it out to the far-reaching areas, which is normal, because that is what's happening. We're losing jobs because people can't keep up with the skills. Finally, your stance on education?
Our stance on education, first of all, let's face it, if I owe you 100 rand and I happen to pay you only 30 rand, you can't say that I've paid you in full. But that's what we've decided to do, that you can be 70% less than in terms of your passing, and it's still acceptable. Hence, we also have such a big dropout rate, because whenever they go to the institution of higher learning, they go, they're really not prepared to be there. But where we believe as APC we need to start, the teachers themselves, they need to be retrained. It can't be correct that in this day and age, we're still using the chalk and the board. Right now in front of you, you don't have anything you're writing on. Now, why are the teachers in this country? We're happy that we must still buy a whole lot of chalk, we must still put black and white board. That is what we are facing. So to move forward, we need to look at the teachers themselves, because the kids are not going to teach themselves. The teachers need to understand how this works. During COVID, I've got a family in Swaziland. I was locked up in Swaziland. Now, during COVID, the kids in Swaziland, they were using the gadget to carry on schooling. The kids in South Africa, they had to sit at home. Now, we'll complain about Swaziland, that's a small country, is poor. But why did it work there? In South Africa, only the kids who are schooling in better school that could access these facilities. That just tells you that we have a government that really doesn't care about the education. Now, we know that kids in Gauteng, they've started using this gadget as part of schooling. But go to other provinces, it is not the same as if we're in different countries. So basically, it's very important that we upskill the teachers. We also know that some of them are teachers, but the background of their education, it's got a lot that need to be answered. And I'm sure
need to be upskilled.
Yes, and I'm sure that if you were to take 2023 metric paper and ask the teachers to write the paper, I wonder how many of them will pass that paper. That is the reality. So we need really to overhaul again the whole education system. Also, just as the colleagues have said here, I don't believe that everything was wrong with what we had in place before. I'm a product of the technical high school, and I'm happy with the field that I decided to choose as an artisan. I'm happy. I wouldn't have been a doctor. I wouldn't have been anything else. I was good in what I learned, and I'm happy it took me to where I am. But the current government decided there was no need for this technical high school. Instead, we brought in the TVET that we don't understand, and then we upgraded what used to be technical high school. We call them universities. our understanding is still different, that was not correct, but that's what we're faced with, and we need to sort that.
And you are not the first parties to have said that. That's been highlighted as a massive fault when it comes to our education system. So, yeah, continue to listen. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll continue the conversation with our three parties in studio. Right, got our political parties in studio with us that we are quizzing in terms of what they're going to offer come the 2024 elections. People Movement for Change, the Forum for Service Delivery, and the ABC, which of course is a party that is looking at something that is quite interesting. They're wanting to take KZN and make it into just a separate state for the Zulu nation. But something else that is quite interesting, and I'll come to you on this, is you last week refused to sign the IEC's Code of Conduct pledge until it was translated into isiZulu. Have you still not signed it?
I've signed. The IEC
okay,
came
good.
in.
Did they translate it for you?
They translated. I signed. But
why was it important to be translated for you?
The issue is that in South Africa we have 11 official languages. Have you ever seen a stop sign written in isiXhosa or in Setswana? It's because we are being undermined, and we are undermining ourselves. We can't blame apartheid anymore. Okay. Now, IEC came to KwaZulu, and they asked the Zulus, who are illiterate like me, to sign the pledge that is in English. Now, we all know that COGTA commissioned a study last year that was telling us, plain and simple, that the councillors, the majority of them, over 75%, they cannot read their budget. But they still get into the meeting and discuss serious issues in English. Yeah. Now, last week, IEC came with exactly the same thing, and I tried to make it clear that it can't be correct that we've got people who are here to sign the pledge. Over 80% of them are Zulu-speaking people, and you're saying to them they must sign something that they don't understand. Anyway, nobody was happy to raise it, but I raised it because we are serious about it. We are saying isiZulu and any other language that is recognized by Constitution, they need to be respected. You can't be going in Northwest taking English there when you know that there are Tswanas there. You can't be going to Limpopo and saying, no, you're going to force them that it has to be English. Now, we used to complain about Afrikaans, but now this has changed. It is English that we are being forced to be speaking. Okay.
Quick one. Did you want to comment on the English? No, not yet. I'll come to you now. I'll come to you now. I saw you lifting up your hand for a sec. I want to... In this, I'm trying to get my head around a separate Zulu state in KZN. If, say, this does happen and you get all of these votes, would you work with a party? I mean, let's talk about coalitions, because I know that at the moment there is a kind of a dispute between the whole running with you and the ANC, and that's not working too well. Would you work with Mkhonto Wesizwe? Would you work with the NFP? Talk to us about who you would go into coalitions with, who you'd govern with.
The truth of the matter, as it stands right now, nobody knows what's going to happen during election. But as APC now, we can't be standing on the fence. The NEC of APC has taken a decision that we are not going to work with the ANC. We've tried to support the ANC. We supported them in 2021 when they lost at Winnie Metro. In fact, the whole country blamed me that I kept ANC in the rain when really the voters have decided that they don't want them. I supported them with 13 votes. That's why they got into power in eThekwini.
And you support them now? Would you support them now?
In few other municipalities, and then there were two occurrences that happened where Mkhonto Kekana, the mayor of eThekwini, the councillor said they don't want him anymore, as well as the speaker, and we still stood behind the ANC, but it has come very clear to us that we can no longer sustain it, and the decision is being taken that we are not going to support the ANC. Even if they do well in 2029, we've decided we'd rather be ordinary members of parliament. We're quite comfortable.
No ANC. Mkhonto Wesizwe, yes?
There's even a worse fight now because the ANC provincial secretary has declared that if APC policy is standing for the independent Zulu state, he will better go to Umzimkhulu and start what he called Baiqa state. Now, this thing is being taken as a small issue by the ANC, and their senior leadership is doing absolutely nothing about it. Okay. When it comes to Mkhonto Wesizwe, the truth is nobody wants to admit. Mkhonto Wesizwe has taken a whole lot of support from everyone. That is a relation. That is a reality, including us. But we can't talk about coalition as it stands at the moment until we go and prove ourselves that we
Fair
can make
enough.
it.
Coalitions for you, Marius?
I think it's very clear for us that we're running this election, we're only 5 months old. We're running this election to get maximum support nationally, provincially, where we stand. And therefore, the discussions on coalitions, we now know that the Western Cape will not. The DA is going down, and they're going very fast down. ANC, in any case, nationally is down in other provinces. So for us, there will be a reconfigured Western Cape government. The strategic question is, we will work with those that are looking through family, community, and opportunity. We're looking at the fact that there are real inequality gaps in our society. We had the last 20 years a Western Cape government that delivered for few, not for the majority people. 4 months before an election, 4 months now, 3 months, the mayor of Cape Town was nowhere to be found. Suddenly, they're dancing with the people on the Cape Flats. So all that we're seeing, it is taking the vote for granted, but this time around, the coloured vote in the Western Cape definitely will punish the DA. So our discussion currently is not about are we going to go into a coalition or not. We're going to maximize our vote. And when we sit at the main table, we will be honourable to those that voted us in. And even if it means we need to sit out in a coalition, depending on what's the situation, at that table, but we will not compromise the ethos of what the PMC is standing for. This is also an investment into 2026. We now know that all the municipalities in the Western Cape will be coalitions. All of them in the Northern Cape, all of them in Gauteng, etc. And therefore, ours are to make sure that we get the ordinary people at that centre, fight hard, look at the issues, and we then will identify the 10 areas of interest for us, and then engage the various parties, the bigger parties in this case, either the ruling party or the ruling party in the Western Cape. But we believe there is talks behind the DA and the ANC to engage each other, and that would be essentially a cherry on the cake for us, because if the ANC and the DA is going into a coalition, it means that the PMC will be strengthened both in the Western Cape and nationally.
So you don't think the DA will win the Western Cape?
No, they will not.
Okay.
The opinion poll shows that.
Is there anyone you won't go into a coalition with? Would you work with the PA, for instance?
Look, at that point, we will go into that and assess what needs to be done. For now, we're not at the issue of coalitions.
Okay, so that's
But what we are saying is there's a lot of new formations, and those new formations are more issue-based.
Yeah.
We are an issue-based movement, not an ideological movement. We are an issue-based movement, and therefore we will work with those that have similar issues at heart. But you also know that we are definitely anti-Zionist. We support hard the Palestinian issue, and therefore there are certain issues that we will take into account.
Okay, important to note for a voter out there. Finally, Forum for Service Delivery. I mean, you're not foreign to working together. You're 7 political parties that have come together to form this. So in terms of coalitions, moving forward, help us out here.
Thank you, Leanne. We are actually 13 political parties.
13 now?
Yes, came under the umbrella of Forum for Service Delivery. But before we can talk a lot about coalition, we are calling for a legislation around coalition, because you can do whatever you can, but as long as coalition is not legislated, will be a problem. However, we took a stand as coalition partners under Forum for Service Delivery to say we will not pronounce now. Immediately after the results, we'll go to the ground and consult our members, because most of the parties, they don't actually consult their members who to work with. We normally do that, and we believe that we need to, as a country, and all we call also as political parties, we need to have a service delivery pledge, which will govern service delivery, so that those who are not delivering services, they must resign. People are not accounting anywhere. Political parties are not accounting to people and all that. So we call for this document to be crafted so that people can be held accountable.
Okay. Finally, in 10 seconds, why should I vote for you?
Vote for us because we are purely service delivery centered organization.
Why should I vote for you?
Vote for us because we are a people-centered organization, and we'll make sure that the youth and the disadvantaged are back at the center of body politics in our country.
Finally, Don?
We're saying everybody vote for us so that we can bring back the dignity of the Amazulu people as well as Basotho people in the Free State and create work. We are going to abolish this business of importing chicken from overseas, because if we do that, we'll have the whole lot of supply chain that will create employment in this country.
Good luck. We wish you the best of luck. We were happy to introduce you or to reaffirm South Africa's commitment to you in the upcoming elections. 36 days to go. That was our discussion on the role of the new and smaller parties contesting in the 29th of May national provincial elections. Once again, our guests in studio were Doctor Mbahare Kekana, the President of Africa for Service Delivery, Philani Mavundla from the Abantu Batho Congress, and Marius Fransman for the People's Movement for Change. Gentlemen, once again, thank you very, very much.